Speaking of Huawei, Google, they put out an official warning. Holy moly. They said, I mean, this doesn't sound good when they put out the official warning like that, because humans, they're out there and they're trying to live, they're trying to do their thing, and they have devices that might have limited support, and they're side loading, as you would. There's a lot of people very comfortable with this. They say, what do you mean? I've been side loading since day one. I'm a side loader. I don't mind.
Wear it proudly.
Well, some people with the rooting and the whole thing. I mean, I was in that game. Again, when I was a young lad, I thought that was fun to do. A little bit of that action. Samsung Galaxy S. Playing with ROMs a little bit. Flashing things. I mean, I had time. I had time for that.
Yeah.
It was a different era, too. It was just, I feel like it was more experimental from that standpoint. Now, these interfaces have gotten really good. And for me, at least, there's a diminished upside to doing that in most cases. Plus, I'm switching phones so frequently, I can't really ever customize to that level to justify it, because it's like, oh, I'm going to try the next phone now. What am I going to do? Play around with that one for 47 hours?
Yeah. And then there's like launchers now.
Launchers, of course. Yeah,
Just
launchers.
install
Icon
them.
packs. Man, you see people that get right into it.
Oh, yeah.
Which is fine. Fully support.
Yeah.
Do what you got to do.
I got the S20 trying it out, and immediately Nova Launcher.
You Nova'd it.
And yeah.
Well, a nice thing I will say, shout out to Nova Launcher. A nice thing there is its ability to just sort of like save your whole, if you do switch phones frequently, save your whole setup. And then you bring the save file over to the new one and kablamo. This is looking like the old one. So there's an argument for, hey, man, it even made your life easier. Are you showing off right now? What's going on here?
It's nice.
Wow.
Pretty
Will's
happy
all
with it.
fired up over here.
Yeah.
Talking launchers.
There you go.
Will he do 2020? It's a different guy. New Year's resolution. New Year's resolution. That's the joke.
Yeah.
It's not good. Resolution. It's terrible.
Yeah.
I don't know. Google comes out and says, don't do that. They say, don't do this side-loading stuff. We're not about that. TechRadar.com. As the global fallout surrounding the U.S. government's Huawei ban continues, Google has published an article warning users of the inherent dangers of side-loading its apps and services on a Chinese manufacturer's devices. The search giant says it has continued to receive a number of questions about new non-Huawei devices, not non-Huawei devices, and whether Google's apps and services can be used with these devices. They wanted to provide some clear guidance. They wanted to put it in plain terms, Will. They wanted to make sure that people knew they should not do that. They say if you've got one of the older devices that did pass their Play Protect certification, then fine, you're fine. Leave it alone. Keep doing your Play thing. But on the newer ones, where people have been kind of forced to sideload, they're saying it's a security issue. It's officially a security issue for them. Here's the quote. Sideloaded Google apps will not work reliably because we do not allow these services to run on uncertified devices where security may be compromised. Furthermore, the Android maker warns that sideloading its services carries a high risk of installing an app that has been altered or tampered with in ways that can compromise user security. So here's what I will say. I'm not trying to condemn the whole practice, because I like the idea of tinkering with things and having the ability to do so. Because like I said, I used to do a ton of it, less so now, but that's the origin story. I think a lot of tech fans out there started out being inquisitive about the gadgets that they had. I mean, I'll tell you just a quick one. My parents would get me gadgets frequently. I will want to open the gadgets up. I want to take a screwdriver, oftentimes wrecking them. It's part of, I mean, if you're a tech enthusiast, you can't help but want to get in there and tinker from time to time and see what you can modify and just like enhance your interaction with the thing. So I'm about that. But I think Google has to do this because they don't want to be held accountable. Somebody does something shady or is affected or impacted and it's got a Google badge on it, or they don't fully understand the risk factor involved. And so you understand that a company of their scale, they got to put something like that out. So what is the real message? What is the takeaway? It's basically, hey, if you want to do that, you do so at your own risk, essentially. If you want to sideload apps, if you want to buy one of Huawei's more recent devices in the midst of the lack of Google components, then just recognize what you're getting involved in and the fact that Google ain't cool with it. They're not fully cool with it. But if you're the type of individual that's working in that space anyways, if you're the type of individual that's used to the idea of sideloading apps and possibly modifying your phone to that degree, then you probably already understand the risks to begin with. You probably already got your good sources and your bad sources, and you know what to avoid. So you probably operate with a healthy dose of skepticism. And I don't need to be telling you what to do, and Google doesn't either. But this is for the general public who goes out and invests in one of these things and then is surprised to find out that it's a little shadier than they originally imagined doing something like this. And what does this tell us? Well, to me, it kind of indicates that they're not close to a resolution. The fact that Google went out of their way to put this out now at this point, why now? Why didn't they put out this release when the thing first happened? Why is it happening now? I think the whole thing has just turned out to go on a little bit longer and with more depth. Of course, recently, I think the U.S. government has had even increasing issues. They got new stuff going on now. And so I guess the time was right for Google to say, okay, let's say it now. Where this ain't going to be a quick fix. So we're going to put out the official word. You guys let me know. I don't know. I'm sure there's people in our community here who are big side loaders, big time launcher types, although that doesn't really affect. That doesn't have much to do with your Google Play services or Play Protect. If you put a launcher, it doesn't really affect anything.
Right.
But you know what I'm saying, the tinkerers. Those people probably exist in our community, so I want to hear from them. Has anybody ever had an issue sideloading an app and it turns out that app wasn't what they thought or it was doing something devious in the background? I'd be curious because it's never happened to me. I have sideloaded apps in the past and I survived. I lived to see another day.
There you go.
Barely. Take a deep breath. Smell the roasted nuts.